Reg, so ons is terug, graad 8 en ons is nou by 2.3.7 en ek gaan 2.3.7 en 2.3.8 saam doen of een na die ander, want ek wil definitief hierso uitwys die verskil tussen die twee tipe vrae. This is a question or questions that a lot of you get wrong because you confuse the methods of these two types of fractions. So of course we will start with 2.3.7 and I will point out the differences as we go along. 2.3.7 says -3a to the power of 2b to the power of 3 multiplied by 2a to the power of 3 b to the power of 2, all of that over -12 a to the power 8 b to the power 4. So eerstens, hierdie is 'n breek. This is a fraction, an algebraic fraction, and notice that it only contains multiplication and division. Daar is net vermenigvuldiging en deling wat hierso plaasvind. Daar is geen terme of daar is nie meer as een term in die teller nie en daar is nie meer as een term in die deler nie of die noemer. So ons het een term in die teller en een term in die noemer en hierdie hele breek is natuurlik een term. And that's important. So we've got, in the numerator, we've got only one term because it is those factors, they are not separated by the multiplication sign. So just to point that out here, this multiplication sign does not separate -3a squared b cubed from 2a cubed b squared. It does not, in fact, it holds it together. So that also then means that in the denominator you only have one term. So what this means is we are then free to multiply and divide as we want because there are no plus or minus signs that are preventing us from doing this. Ons kan dan net vermenigvuldig en deel en ons wette toepas. Ek sal verkieslik eers in die noemer, verkieslik eers in die teller werk, so bo, en dan sal ek in die noemer werk. In fact, we can't really work in the denominator until we've sorted out the numerator, so we are going to simplify the numerator first and then we will do the division afterwards. And if you look at the numerator, we've got -3 multiplied by 2, so the numbers will give us a -6. Then looking at the letters that are the same, or the variables, a to the power 2 multiplied by a to the power 3 gives us a to the power 5. Then for b, we have b to the power 3 multiplied by b to the power of 2. So dit gee vir ons b to die mag 5. Just be careful, I've also noticed in the past that you tend to multiply the exponents because you're probably working too quickly. So wat jy dan doen is, julle vermenigvuldig die b's byvoorbeeld met mekaar, maar dan maal julle die eksponente en julle sê b to die mag 6. Dit is verkeerd. Die eksponente moet bygetel word of opgetel word. So you can clearly see what we've done here is we've multiplied the -3 and the 2 to give us the 6 or -6. Then we've taken -8, or we've taken a to the power 2 and a to the power 3, and we got a to the power 5. And then we've taken b to the power 3 and b to the power 2, and we've got b to the power 5. And that is how we simplified our numerator. So initially it might look a bit daunting. There's a lot of letters and numbers and stuff going on and negative signs, but you just deal with them one after the other. And this is all divided by -12 a to the power 8, b to the power 4. At this point, things look a lot simpler. So now we're going to only divide. So we are going to divide the numbers and we're going to divide the letters using laws of exponents. Now, because we've got more than one variable, and you can obviously notice that there are exponents in the denominator that are higher than the exponents in the numerator. At this point, I would advise you to, first of all, just draw your division line. Draw your division line, and then afterwards you can decide how you're going to simplify by deciding which variable and which number goes where, top or bottom. Okay, so in the case of -6 over -12, that is a fraction. It is also a ratio. Remember, simplifying a ratio means dividing by the highest common factor. In other words, what is the highest common factor of 6 and 12? And that, of course, is 6. So 6 goes into itself once, and into 12 it goes twice. And of course, negative over negative is a positive, so this overall answer will be positive. Hierdie antwoord, die finale antwoord gaan dan positiewe antwoord is, want die teller is negatief en die noemer is negatief. So that's a half. And then for the a variable, we've got a to the power 5 in the numerator and a to the power 8 in the denominator. So here our denominator has the higher exponent, so we are going to do the subtraction in the denominator. So in other words, and this I'm going to write out in full. So I'll keep the base in the denominator and say 8 minus 5. Then for the b, vir die b's het ek die grootste eksponent in die teller, so ek gaan die aftrekking gaan gebeur in die teller. So b 5 minus 4. And this ensures that everything is in the right place the first time around and you don't end up with negative exponents. So simplifying what I have there, I've got, of course, in algebra we don't have to write the 1, although it is there. So I will just simplify the numerator as b, because 5 minus 4 is 1. So that will be b to the power 1, which is just b. And then the numerator, or the denominator, en die noemer, het ek dan 2, a to die mag 3. Because 8 minus 5 is 3, and that is the answer. So from this whole mess over here, I have simplified to only that, and just by applying the laws of exponents we have achieved that, and that is our final answer. We cannot simplify this any further, so we are done. That was 2.3.7. Now 2.3.8, we have another fraction, and this time I've got 12m to the power 6 minus 8m to the power 4 plus 4m to the power 3. And that is all over negative 4m to the power of 2. Now in this case, in hierdie geval het ek 'n breek, maar hier kan ons duidelik sien dat in die teller is daar 3 terme, want hulle word geskei deur hierdie negatief en hierdie positief. Okay, so that is 3 terms in the numerator. And in the denominator we have 1 term only. Ons het net een noemer, een term in die noemer. And that means that this fraction has a numerator with 3 terms, and all 3 of these terms share the same denominator. And that means the plus and minus signs in the numerator allows me to split this fraction up and write them as 3 separate fractions because they have the same denominator. So that will look as follows. I've got 12m to the power 6 over negative 4m to the power 2. Then I will use the sign that was here, so that sign over there, minus 8m to the power 4 divided by, now be careful here, the denominator has its own negative sign already, so that will stay as negative 4m to the power 2, and then I'll use this plus over there for this separation, and I've got 4m to the power 3 over, again, negative 4m to the power 2. So that clearly shows that we have split the fraction into 3 separate fractions because they all have the same denominator of negative 4m to the power 2. So hierdie breek was nou geskei in 3 aparte breke met die tekens wat gegee was in die teller, en hulle al 3 het dieselfde noemer van negatief 4m to die mag 2. En dan is ons nou vereenvoudig. So nou het ons 3 breke waar ons dan doodeenvoudige breke het en algebraïese faktore en sovoorts waar ons exponentewette kan toepas. And that means that we can then, for the first term, we've got 12 divided by negative 4, gives us negative 3. And m to the power 6 divided by m to the power 2 gives us m to the power 6 minus 2, so that's m to the power 4. Then we've got, now be careful here once again, there was a minus in between. Then for the division, I'm saying 8 divided by negative 4, which will give me negative 2. So that you can write either as that, or you can of course use brackets just to separate it over here, just to keep it clean. And of course m to the power 4 over m to the power 2 gives us m to the power 4 minus 2, which is m to the power 2. You can just close the bracket there. Then in this one I've got plus, which is the plus that was over there. 4 divided by negative 4 gives us a negative 1. So just for illustrative purposes, I'm going to write the negative 1 here. And then for m to the power 3 over m to the power 2, that is m to the power 3 minus 2. And that will, of course, end up being just m. Now, it's a little bit messy still, so we're just going to clean up a bit. I've got negative 3. Let me just redo that. I've got negative 3, m to the power 4. And this, of course, is now plus 2m to the power 2. And that becomes minus m. Want dit is plus negatief 1m. En dit word natuurlijk vereenvoudig net na negatief m. And that is then the final answer. I cannot continue because none of these terms are like terms. So they cannot be added together. So that is where we stop.